Hello, my name is Sandy Sparkman. This is my partner, Aleana Sullivan. Today, we will be talking about similarities and differences between Weyerhaeuser and Plum Creek Timber, two of the largely public traded companies in the timber industry, as well as the business merger between the two to create one entity under the name of Weyerhaeuser. Within the next 10 minutes, we will compare and contrast the two companies in the areas of company history and products and services, which I will be discussing, and company social responsibility and culture, which Aleana will address. Following that, Aleana will provide details on why one of these companies seems to be better managed than the other, and I will conclude the presentation. Now for a brief history comparison between Weyerhaeuser and Plum Creek. Established in 1900, Weyerhaeuser began as a small timber company in Washington. While Weyerhaeuser grew as an innovative company, by 1915 they implemented the first all-electric lumber mill in the United States, 15 years prior to Plum Creek's emergence into the industry. Throughout the years, Weyerhaeuser diversified through a multitude of industries and products which have had a negative effect on its bottom line by the 1960s, including products like food, lumber, banking, and diapers. Plum Creek, on the other hand, grew out of a small mill in Minnesota founded by D.C. Dunham and was relocated to Montana in 1945, employing only 10 people. Upon Dunham's death, the family sold the business to Northern Pacific Railroad, who merged with Burlington Northern Railroad. In the 1970s, Burlington Northern divided their holdings, resulting in Plum Creek acquiring land to manage, and in 1999, the company established itself into a real estate investment trust, or a REIT, to take advantage of tax benefits. In addition to land management, Plum Creek has expanded into several things, including genetic engineering, resource management, geographic information systems, and the timber industry, including lumber, plywood, and manufactured fiberboard. Although both companies have come to do business primarily in the timber industry, they each experimented with diversification in different ways. Currently, Plum Creek products are shipped internationally and are used primarily for construction purposes, ranging from housing to cabinetry and finish work. Up until 2015, Plum Creek was the United States' largest private landowner, with vast holdings in Maine, Georgia, and Montana. These lands are managed for resources and leased to states and private entities, creating a unique market position desirable to companies like Weyerhaeuser. The competitive race for unlimited natural resources has brought the two companies together under less desirable circumstances. Weyerhaeuser not only has the drive to control land, but has secondary interests in the paper-producing industry, producing products such as toilet paper and other hygiene products. Now for Aleana's comparison of corporate responsibility between Weyerhaeuser and Plum Creek.
So when it comes to corporate social responsibility, we see that Weyerhaeuser's strength is the reseeding portion, 650 million replants every year. So they also carry the 100% of forest certifications, and this is an ISO rating that is global, so it's all forests for the entire globe that they're rated in. And with them receiving 100% of the forest certification, we really felt that that was their strength. Plum Creek does a lot more. So in this comparison of the two companies, we felt that Plum Creek took the cake because they do not just the recycling, but also reseeding. And with the recycling, they've implemented innovative measures such as bug farms. With mills, they have steam that's released into the atmosphere. So you have air, you have water, you have land pollution that can arise from their actual manufacturing purposes. And with these ones, they've implemented the bug farms that were largest in the world when they were first implemented, and they basically make it to where any steam that is released into the atmosphere is 90% pure air and water. So they are really big on recycling even the bits of trees, that any bark, anything that is left, everything is used between the three lines of the lumber, the plywood, and into the manufactured fiberboard as well. They're very good with the conservation of species. Plum Creek allows many people to use their land. Even though it's private land, they allow hunting off of it in order to control animal population, and they also use species control of reintroducing older species that perhaps the environment has, for whatever reason, kind of diminished that population. In addition, you can see in the upper corner they do a lot of community service. They offer time for Salvation Army and Habitat for Humanity for their employees to take during their work hours and to support those entities while volunteering their time. They still receive a paycheck, so it works really well for that. In the upper right-hand corner, that's actually me in the red shirt. And I put together a team every year for this company, even though I no longer work for them. And we raised, in the past 5 years, about $70,000 for Special Olympics. But yes, that's damn cold. When you talk about the corporate culture, we have several different things. Sandy and I also felt that with the corporate culture that Weyerhaeuser was a better company in comparison to Plum Creek. Weyerhaeuser has been established for a longer time. They've worked through some kinks and they have a better management style overall. They're a large company. When you look at Plum Creek, it's relatively small in comparison to Weyerhaeuser. And then in addition, with the 2007 economic setback, there were many people that their positions were eliminated. We really felt in our review of Glassdoor, in looking at those, I personally know that I would never offer a review on Glassdoor because it would not be anonymous. They would know exactly who had left what position, or with the knowledge that I would leave on there, what I liked, what I didn't like. So we really feel that there are many people within the Plum Creek Timber Company that would have left but not offered a report simply for anonymity purposes, that it wouldn't be there. Generally accident-free with Plum Creek Timber, generally happy. There's real difficulty with upward movement. The majority of management is 40 and older. You don't see young managers unless they're junior managers. And in addition to that, there really isn't any upward movement unless somebody retires. It's kind of a good old boys club. And there's not very many women in those seats either. So we felt that in the contrast and comparison of those two, that Weyerhaeuser was also a little bit better suited. We did want to talk a little bit about the acquisition and the merger that had taken place, because now we're looking at one company, not just two. And I'm going to just read, I want to stick pretty close to this. So in the world of business acquisitions, business looks for both similarities and differences to fortify their own interest. In the case of Weyerhaeuser, Plum Creek offered land holdings as the largest private landholder in the United States. Projects in ecological and social restoration and innovation in robotics is their primary strength. Post-merger exists an international business called Weyerhaeuser that has the opportunity to develop the majority of domestic natural resources. It is now in the new Weyerhaeuser's choice as to what will happen with their corporate responsibility. It can become the largest corporately responsible entity, or in the United States in the timber industry, or it could make choices that leave damages in its wake. One thing that I did want to point out as far as the ecological and social restorations is Plum Creek also is spearheading economic closure by developing a template to instill into a vast economic city in Gainesville, Florida. So you have the very wealthy and the very poor, and they're actually using a template to socially restore that entire city. And if it works, it's something that can go global as well. So that's something that we're hoping to see Weyerhaeuser carry on board as well with their moving forward of corporate responsibilities. We did feel that Weyerhaeuser was the better managed team because of that, and I'm going to pass that back off to Sandy.
So having discussed the maturity of Weyerhaeuser as compared to Plum Creek and their complementary products and services, both domestically and internationally, as well as their successful attempts at good company culture and social responsibility, we look forward to Weyerhaeuser's future. We can only speculate as to what the merger between the two will bring for Weyerhaeuser in terms of its power over the timber industry and its control over natural resources all over the world. Aleana and I would like to quickly thank everyone for listening, and we'll take any questions at this time.